And thank you for listening to Interesting Ideas. Some of you may remember or even know that my sounder that is actually the Morse code for CQ, CQ, CQ. And if you're an old-fashioned kid like me, who actually was a ham radio operator, 50-some years, 60-some years ago, whenever you wanted to talk to somebody, you just got on the air and you said CQ, 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 or you did the da-da-da-dit, da-da-da-da, CQ, CQ, and then somebody hopefully would respond. And so that's a little bit of what I'm doing. I would love to have a conversation with you. So perhaps after I have my little rant or my homily or my recitation or just some random thoughts, perhaps you might even come back to me. And that, of course, is what this is all about. Interesting ideas, and I'm going to talk a little bit about being peculiar, but unfortunately before that I have to do a little I'm so sad because, in effect, it is true. There is a 3-year-old, maybe a 5-year-old too, who are on their way to prison. That's right, a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old who are on their way to prison, and we're going to talk about that and perhaps wonder what we can, if anything, do about that. I'm Stan Houston. These will all be, for a Wednesday, some interesting ideas, and the program begins right now. I just finished doing about a 2.5-hour presentation. It's 7 20-minute programs. Maybe there's 8 plus an epilogue. Yeah, 8, and you need to read it. You need to see it. You need to do it. And it's called How to Be a World-Class Podcaster. And whether you want to be one or not, you'll learn more about communication than you ever thought possible. We are just posting that program on YouTube. And if you would like to I'll let you watch it for free because you listen to me. So reach out to me at stanhouston@gmail.com and say, Stan, I want to watch the programs on how to be a world-class podcaster. Now, pretty soon I'm going to charge for them, but because you charge right now, I will charge you nothing. Reach out to me at stanhouston@gmail.com, stanhouston@gmail.com. But I talk about point of the moment. The nice thing about podcasting, about this kind of communication, you can talk right to what is happening now. With your brochure or your book or your article, it's going to take a while between your thoughts about an event and when somebody can read it. And in the moment might be lost. Unfortunately, though, it was on the news on a variety of places last night, and it hit home for me because it actually was from where I spent a lot of my life in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. Actually, the place, a nice little place where we used to live, old home, but located near the river in a beautiful park. It was very, very close to where the riots took place. We knew that area well. And we also knew, because we knew the area well, that the people who were being hurt by those riots were, guess what? They were people who had nothing to do with the problem. It wasn't just the big Target and Wells Fargo that got burned. It was many small, oftentimes immigrant-owned businesses that got burned out. So that's the world I'm in. At least, and it was quite a change for us. But on the news, here was the deal. It turns out, and the crime is really accelerating in Minneapolis-St. Paul, like so many cities, and it's hard to believe because it was such a safe place. It really was. And 2 Minneapolis policemen were making their way into St. Paul, the neighboring of the twin of the Twin Cities, to serve an arrest warrant for a possible murderer. And as they came up, they were met by And there's a video of it. Someone took a video of it. There's two young boys, probably about 3 or 4, 5 or 6, and they come out and they start yelling at the policemen. They start throwing rocks at them. They're wearing their underwear. They don't even have their clothes on. They're wearing their underwear. They start yelling at the policemen, using all kinds of foul language, the B word, the F word, everything else. And they're kicking at him and throwing rocks at him. And of course, the policemen haven't done anything to them. But that's what they were doing. And the policeman tries to move them out of the way, and they just come right back at it. And some neighbor nearby is cheering them on. Well, that 4 to 5 minute excerpt, it will be around a lot more today, but it was making the rounds yesterday afternoon and through the evening news. That's the story. Here's what's on the future plate for those two young boys. They're probably going to prison. They are on their way to prison. Now, of course, not now. But you get my point, don't you? If that behavior continues, if that view of life isn't severely interrupted or intervened by somebody, how would a parent allow a child to become that way? Well, the children are just imitating what they've seen from other adults. Maybe their parents, maybe not, but they're imitating. That's what you do. That's how you talk to policemen. That's how you act. That behavior is, in fact, as the neighbor was, that behavior is to be commended. Well, guess what? I don't know when it will be, but if no intervention or no act of grace or mercy takes place, those two young men eventually will be, not long after they have perhaps been boys and become young men, they'll probably be in prison. They'll probably be in trouble. They'll probably be in jail. And someone said, and there's a good chance that one of them will be dead. That just breaks my heart. And I just wanted to share that with you because that's true. That kind of behavior means that that's probably the course they're on. And even though the title is shocking, and when I shared that with my friend in the office today, he said, "Hey, Stan, what's the podcast about today?" And I said, "Well, it's about this 3-year-old is going to prison." And he looked at me and said, "What do you mean by that?" And then I explained to him just exactly what I explained to you. And he shook his head and said, "You're right. The title of your program is absolutely right. That's probably what's going to happen to them." May not. Like I said, something may change. Probably, sometime, someplace, some strong man, the father, I have no idea, but maybe a coach or a teacher or a friend, someone they meet will get a hold of them. And you really will have to get a hold of them. And they will help change their behavior and their perhaps beliefs, which will help change their behavior. And who knows, by God's good grace, maybe it'll be okay. But the way it's going now, it's pretty clear where they will probably end up. And that's not political. It's not racist. It's none of those things. It's just the truth. And so in these 6-7 minutes, I wanted to say that. But there's always hope that somebody will become peculiar. And part of being peculiar is to become very, very different from all the things that are around you. That even the good things, you become different. From the bad things, you become different. And so, can I take, after a little segue where I get a cup of coffee or perhaps a drink of water? I should be careful with my coffee. Trying to limit that and increase my water supply. Good idea, all right? Less coffee, more water. Less coffee, more water. Less coffee, more water. Good pattern to get into. I'm Stan Houston. These are interesting ideas, and we'll be back. Again, the friend that I was talking to, Jake, and someday Jake is an entrepreneur who has from a little office in a little office building here in Cary, North Carolina, is able to operate. He's the man for a little business that has customers in office supplies, obviously a common thing all over the country. And he's a man of he's a character. He really is. He's a bit peculiar, but he's really good at what he does, and he does it well, and he's always full of good ideas too. But he said to me, he said, "Stan, where do you come up with all these ideas?" Well, I pointed out, every time I talk to Jake, I come up with an idea. He said, "Really?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, what did I say in the last couple of days that gave you a couple of good ideas?" And I pointed out to him. He said, "Oh." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, that's the point of being on the radio. You are always on the moment lookout, and that's part of what I teach you in that class on how to be a world-class podcaster. You're always looking for something, and almost everything that comes across, you say, I wonder if I could do a program on that. Maybe I should talk about that." Well, guess what? I was wondering how to do something today, and this morning I am a subscriber to what is called the Epoch Times. Maybe you've heard of it. It's THE, the. Its Epoch is EPOCH, Times. And it is an online newspaper, and it's conservative, very traditional, inspirational, and they try and make sure that their commentary and their news reporting is very, very separate. But they have a point of view, and they admit it's quite traditional, would be the word they use. Traditional wisdom, traditional insight. And they had what I call a wow. They usually start the morning brief with a wow. What's a wow? Well, it's words of wisdom. And remember, I told you that I never watch the news in the morning or read the news in the morning. Instead, I listen to Frank Sinatra sing love songs. Gives me into a better mood. But here's words of wisdom. Came across, so I saw that. I didn't read the whole thing, but I read the wow. Here it is. And this is from Rudyard Kipling. He said, "The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. To be your own man," and I'll update Rudyard Kipling, "to be your own man, your own woman, is hard business. If you try it, you will be lonely often, and sometimes frightened. But no price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself." Owning yourself. I also this morning just had a little conversation with my new neighbor. His name is Caesar, and he's the business manager of a little construction company. It's primarily Spanish-speaking people, but he's the youngest, so he knows, of course, Spanish well, but he also knows English extremely well. And I said to him, in effect, you need to understand that in this small little company, you're kind of the man, and you should introduce yourself as such. You are the one who will represent the company. You will be the one who will be helping people out, because you can do that. So introduce yourself. Well, when it comes to this company, I'm the man. And so rather than, quote, working for somebody else, he's part of the owner and leadership team. He's trying to own himself. Rudyard Kipling say there is not a price too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself. Well, how do you do that? Well, you know, part of it is that you adopt being peculiar. You know, if you don't want to be just a member of the tribe, if you want to have your own program, your own posse, You have to probably be a little bit peculiar and a little bit, you'll be frightened. You'll be lonely. It'll be dangerous. As I say, it's kind of leading an experimental life rather than a life of seeking security and, of course, seeking all the stuff that everybody else seeks. No price too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself. I think I'll quit right there. That's enough. Enough for today. Actually, I'm going to go and help you in the next couple days to learn how to do that. And I've got five words that will help you begin to live in such a way that maybe you own yourself. Well, what are those 5 words? A little bit of a radio tease if you'd like to hear those 5 words, and I think it's fairly well thought through. You'll have to come back tomorrow. I'm Stan Houston, always seeking and wanting to share a little bit of God's wisdom and my and your interesting ideas. Try to keep it under 20 minutes. There's a good reason for that. Ask me why sometimes. In fact, I think we're going to be about 17, maybe a little bit more. Depends on whether I will shut up and then when I play the music. I can help you. I don't know how, but I know I can. And the way I can help you is when you discover what you want help with and you tell me. And in some way, I know if I can't help you, I know somebody who can. And so you very specifically say, what is missing in my life and business right now? There's the question. What's missing in my life and business right now that I'm pretty sure that I could use, that I need? Maybe you need to reach your audience. Maybe you need to learn how to sell. Maybe you need to learn how to build a business. Maybe you need to do what I do, which is how to market yourself and be good at it. You let me know, and I know that I can help you. StanHouston@gmail.com. StanHouston@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. I'm very grateful for you. You're one of the most important persons in the world, and as a result of that, I'm honored when you spend time listening to me. And now I'd like to hear from you. Again, StanHouston@gmail.com. StanHouston@gmail.com. Best and blessings on a Wednesday. May the week start to go very well. Finally, for you now. Bye for now.